This is Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice. I'm Julie Grant, your midday host. Thank you for being with us on this Wednesday. It is a big day in the dueling defamation trial in Virginia between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Right now, we're on the Depp rebuttal case, so they're offering evidence to refute what we saw presented by Amber Heard's team. First up was Kate Moss. She's an ex-girlfriend of Johnny Depp's, and she testified that there was never an incident where he pushed her down the stairs. She talked about an incident where she slipped and fell because it was rainy and wet outside. It was when they were on a trip in Jamaica. So she put to rest that rumor that Amber Heard referenced when she was on the stand talking about her own staircase incident with Johnny Depp. And she said it made her think of Kate Moss and what happened with her. So this was rebuttal evidence to show the jury it never happened. Then, in somewhat of a surprise move, Johnny Depp took the stand on rebuttal, and we have hit the pause button on the video, so you're not going to miss any of his testimony. We knew there was a chance he would testify. We thought he would be last, so this could be the end of the case. This would be a very strong note for his team to end on. When we last left off in our last hour, he was talking about that staircase incident with Amber Heard and her sister Whitney. Let's go back in together now.
As Kate Moss, Kate testified, it was many, many years ago. And exactly what happened is what she said happened. I recall speaking with Ms. Heard about that very incident because of the downpouring of rain, because it was raining very heavily that day that Kate slipped. And I recalled the story to her.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
You know, I know you couldn't hear me at home, but I was saying out loud a few moments ago, objection, hearsay. I do with any time there's an objection, no matter whose side is presenting, I always try to catch them to see if the attorneys catch them, and that was a proper one. Johnny Depp can't testify to what he said, but he can say what Amber Heard said.
I'll make it easy for Mr. Rottenborn. Ms. Heard took the story and turned it into a very ugly incident, all in her mind. There was never a moment where I pushed Kate down any set of stairs, yet she's spewed this 3 times before.
Objection, Your Honor. Ms. Heard simply testified that she had heard a rumor, and that's non-responsive to the question.
Sir, hold on. This
Sorry.
objection. I'll overrule the objection.
Misstates the facts and evidence.
I'll overrule the objection.
Sorry, I was drawn by Mr. Rottenborn's voice.
Certainly.
What was it?
So what specifically had you actually told Ms. Heard about the incident with Miss Moss and the stairs?
Very simply that we were in Jamaica. I had left our bungalow about 3 minutes prior to her. I was standing outside, and suddenly rain starts just coming down like it's, a monsoon. And then I remember looking and seeing Kate coming out the door, and there were 3 little wooden stairs, and she slipped, her legs went up, and she landed directly on her coccyx and her lower back. So, and she was obviously physically in pain, and she was hurt. She was crying, so I ran over and grabbed her to make sure she was all right. That's it. That's all I ever. That's the whole story. But then the rumor of it, I'd never heard a rumor of that before Miss Heard grabbed hold of it. It's like that. Sorry.
Mr. Depp, we heard testimony from Miss Heard's sister, Whitney, during this trial. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And how would you describe your relationship with Whitney when you were in a relationship with Miss Heard?
I liked Whitney very much. Initially, when I first met her, I liked her very much, and grew to love Whitney very much, because I always, it seemed, Whitney, Amber's sister, Whitney, seemed to always get the sort of dirty end of the stick, and I felt bad for her for that, because it wasn't new. It had been there for life, and that was seemed pretty obvious. So I took to Whitney very, very quickly, very easily. She was a very sweet kid. She was wonderful.
What do you mean that Whitney got the dirty end of the stick?
It was a kind of a strange combination of loving sister, trusted sister and friend, and then lackey, and then, either the punching bag or the dartboard, or the recipient of some rather demeaning and ugly words, or she would have wine thrown in her face.
And who was the source of those demeaning words and the wine that you just referenced?
Well, that would be Amber Heard, her sister.
And how do you know that?
Well, I witnessed quite a lot of it. The wine in the face was something that happened in New York, which I think that even made it into the papers. I believe that even made it into the papers. It was in an elevator.
How did you first learn about that incident?
Miss Heard told me in detail.
What else did you observe of Miss Heard and her sister Whitney's interactions during your relationship with Miss Heard?
They were just constantly up and down, but I could sense, I could feel that Whitney was trying to please her sister, trying to be up to snuff, and it just seemed like she got shot down.
Objection, Your
time.
Honor. This has gone beyond the scope of the question or his foundation for knowledge of that.
Your Honor, I asked what he observed, between them. I think this is responsive to that.
And his testimony as to what Whitney felt is...
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. Did you ever see Miss Heard physically attack Whitney?
No, I've never seen any full-on blowouts, physical blowouts between them. Tons of verbal blowouts.
Objection beyond the scope.
Overruled.
I've certainly seen Miss Heard grab Whitney, push her around. There were a number. there were half a dozen times when some of us, whoever was in the general vicinity, would have to leave. This is at Orange, when Whitney and Amber were living at Orange. Whitney and her boyfriend at the time, Sean Krajewski, and we had to leave the apartment and wait in the car while they fought.
And when you say fought, do you mean physically or?
Physical.
And when you said Miss Heard would push Whitney around, do you mean that physically push her or metaphorically?
Both.
All right, we're going to hit the pause button and then squeeze in a break. Don't go anywhere. You're going to hear all of Johnny Depp's testimony next. And boy, he isn't holding back. We thought this might be a quick rebuttal with him testifying and maybe confine it to just some of the key issues, but no, they are hitting on it all. This is Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice.
How you want to see?
Welcome back to Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice. I'm Julie Grant. Let's get you back into the courtroom now in Virginia. Johnny Depp has returned to the stand to refute quite a bit of the testimony given by Amber Heard and the various witnesses called by her team. Where we left off, he's talking about that staircase incident in their penthouse apartment where Amber Heard alleges that he struck her sister Whitney in the back. Her sister said the same thing when she testified, and we're getting to that point where Johnny Depp seems to be ready to address it. Let's watch.
You heard Whitney testify that she lived in Penthouse 4 at the Eastern Columbia building for a time, correct?
That is correct, yes.
How did Whitney come to live in Penthouse 4?
My recollection when Whitney first came to stay at the Eastern Columbia building in Penthouse 4 was she and her boyfriend, Sean, had broken up. And she needed a place to go. And so Amber asked if she could stay in Penthouse 4, and I said, well, of course, you know.
How long did Whitney live in Penthouse 4?
It was well over a year, on and off.
Did you ever ask Whitney to move out of Penthouse 4?
No, I did not, no.
Why did Whitney ultimately move out of Penthouse 4?
Objection, foundation.
It's his apartment, Your Honor. He was living there.
Oh, overruled.
Whitney moved out of Penthouse 4 long before the marriage, and it was due to an argument that Ms. Heard and Whitney had, which had to do with Whitney working at the Art of Elysium with Jennifer Howell and those people. And Amber asked her to leave, get out.
Where did Whitney live when she moved out of Penthouse 4?
My understanding is she went to live with Jennifer Howell.
Your Honor, I know you anticipated having a motion at noon.
You can keep going. That's
Okay.
fine. We can. How much longer in direct do you have?
I have a bit.
Okay, that's okay. Go ahead.
Mr. Depp, do you recall hearing testimony during Ms. Heard's case from Mr. Mandel?
Yes, I do.
And who is that?
Mr. Mandel is my former business manager of 17 and a half years, who, at a certain point, discovered had been embezzling quite a lot of money. So I had to take action against him and he and my lawyer of 17 and a half years, as they were in cahoots, as it were. And so yes, Joel Mandel is, and they settled their case with me. They made their settlement. But yes, it was that was a very, Joel Mandel is a very bitter man who ended up with a lot of money that I worked hard for over the years.
Do you recall Mr. Mandel testifying in this case that you do not spend very much money on charity?
That I don't, sorry?
That you do not spend very much money on charity?
Objection, Your Honor.
You just want to approach?
Can we approach?
Okay.
All right, while they're at sidebar, hashing out the objection and the response with Her Honor outside the hearing of the jury, let's talk about Amber Heard's visible reactions. And I see them walking back, so I don't want to talk over this testimony. We'll save that.
Mr. Depp, just to remind you, my question was, what is your response to Mr. Mandel's testimony that you do not spend very much on charity?
My response to that is Mr. Mandel is a very bitter man, and one thing about that, myself personally, with regard to charity donations, sending money to a charity, I prefer. I would rather that my name were not on it. I don't want the name to be the important thing or the thing that people talk about. So when I donate money, I donate without my name being involved because I don't see that that's important, my name being there in terms of money. Now, if I am able to visit hospitals, or if I'm able to meet with Make-A-Wish children, and have held on to the relationships that I've held on to within the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the Children's Hospital and various other places. Then obviously my name is involved. When we held premieres in Leicester Square for several films, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Again, beyond the scope of his response to Mr. Mandel's testimony.
I believe this is in response to Mr. Mandel.
I'll overrule the objection.
So basically, when it was a public, let's call it a donation or whatever, I would talk to the studio, I would talk to Disney, I would talk to Warner Brothers, I would talk to whoever the studio was, well before the premiere, and make the premiere a benefit that would, once we did what we benefited, we did a premiere for Great Ormond Street Hospital. We did a couple of benefit premieres for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I mean, if you can turn a premiere with that many thousands and thousands and thousands of people there, into a benefit, it works and it helps, but it wasn't presented under my name, you know. It was Disney's doing this or Warner Brothers is doing this. I'm not looking for the pat on the back, as it were. If I can make it happen, great. But I don't need the pat on the back. I don't need the adulation. I don't need the attention.
Did you hear Ms. Heard testify that one of the charities she donated a portion of your divorce settlement to was the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles?
Yes.
What is your relationship with the CHLA?
Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevant and to the issue.
May we approach Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I have to say, Benjamin Rottenborn is on the ball this morning and afternoon with the objections. He is very quick, and that's the way you've got to be. I always say the attorney who best knows the rules of evidence wins the day at trial. So we will see what happens today. This is still very early on in the day and in Johnny Depp's testimony. Of course, the more testimony that comes out on direct, the more time there will be to spend on cross, because there's more content the Heard side can cross on. We'll squeeze in a break. Thank you for being with us here on Court TV Live. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice. I'm Julie Grant. We're watching the final stretch of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard playing out in Virginia. This defamation case has had so many twists and turns. In the latest, we saw Johnny Depp's former girlfriend, Kate Moss, testifying this morning on rebuttal, saying an incident never happened that Amber Heard referenced in her testimony. And now we're seeing Johnny Depp refuting several things that Amber Heard testified to. And there was an objection from Amber Heard's attorney about Johnny Depp talking about his relationship with the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. Let's go back in now and see how Her Honor ruled.
Mr. Depp, what is your relationship with the CHLA?
I've had a relationship with the CHLA for probably 20 years or so.
And what's just the nature of that relationship?
Well, essentially, you know, sometimes there are Make-A-Wish kids who are in the hospital there, and that their wish is to...
Objection, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay, sure.
Okay, something tells me there must have been some sort of prior ruling on this from Her Honor when they went to that last sidebar about it, because Mr. Rottenborn didn't put the basis of the objection on the record. He just said objection, and then there's always a basis that has to be stated, whether it's hearsay, calls for speculation, form of the question, argumentative, all of the various things that could be cited as a basis for an objection to be lodged. But here he didn't say it outside the listening of the jury. It's being argued. Perhaps this is something, I know before he said this was irrelevant. And so this testimony is very good for Johnny Depp. I mean, look at that packed gallery. These are tons and tons of diehard Depp fans who come to court day in and day out. And what he was just sharing is very good stuff, talking about how he wants to make donations, not with his name attached necessarily, just to do good. So not looking for the credit for it. And that is really the definition of charity when you think about it, not wanting anything in return or wanting any attention. And so this is very, very good testimony for him, especially at a time like this on rebuttal where they're tying up all the loose ends. Amber Heard's side, of course, is going to want to keep this out because it's not relevant to the matter at hand. And I have a view where I'm sitting in the studio of all of the attorneys up at sidebar. I'm wondering why so many of them are there. Let's listen in
May 20th.
now.
Afternoon, evening. My mom made her exit. She'd been fighting cancer numerous times and for many years, and she fought all the way to the end. And so my mother passed away on the 20th of May. Which does bring instant perspective into one's mind. I spoke to Amber that night. I called her on the telephone, explained to her that my mom had passed, Betty Sue had passed, and that I thought that the best thing we could do was to that I filed for
Your Honor,
divorce.
hearsay. What Mr. Depp told Ms. Heard.
We can move on, Your
Okay,
Honor.
yes, ma'am.
Mr. Depp, what happened at the end of that week on May 27th, 2016?
May 27th, my daughter's birthday. May 27th, I was not in Los Angeles. I was on the way on tour, and that was when Miss Heard went for the restraining order. And oh yeah, also that was the day that Alice Through the Looking Glass, a film I'd done, was opening.
Did Ms. Heard know that you were out of town on May 27th?
Yes.
And how would she have known that?
Well, I told her I was going on tour. I mean, that was well established.
How long were you going to be out of town on that tour?
2 to 3 months.
And did Ms. Heard know how long you'd be out of town?
I don't know if she knew exactly how long I'd be out of town, but it was a pretty extensive tour of Europe.
How did Ms. Heard's actions on May 27th, 2016 affect you?
Changed everything.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Oh, it didn't change
to
everything?
This lawsuit.
Right.
Mr. Heard, if you could wait till the objection, please.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Relevance.
Tourette's.
Your Honor, this is one of the key
If you want to
dates.
approach, that's good.
All right, Johnny Depp being funny there with that response to the objection. He knows better, but he took an opportunity to be funny. He is very, very likable on the stand. Let me bring in my guest for some analysis. I have trial attorney C.K. Hoffler on the program. She's standing by in Atlanta. C.K., always great to have you. What did you think about that moment just now with Depp on the stand, please?
Well, I think he absolutely took an opportunity to sort of crack a joke, because obviously that was a pivotal moment in their already toxic relationship. But and he just kind of made a joke. I agree with you. He's very affable. He's very likable. The jury probably was right there with him when he cracked that joke. Oh, it didn't take a turn. And so I think that was probably a good thing. He's been testifying in a very measured way, so that kind of lightened it up a little bit. This is tedious when as you know, as a trial lawyer, we have these things happen when there's a sidebar. It's very tedious. The jurors don't like it because it interrupts the flow. So him making that comment was just really a nice thing to do, and probably a way of engaging the jury even more in a way that was fun and funny in a very, very deep and toxic subject matter trial.
Yes.
So I think he's actually doing very well on this in this rebuttal. They're touching on every single issue, as well they should. He wants to be the last voice that they hear. Every single issue that could have made a jury feel uncomfortable, and cleaning up. They're using Johnny to clean up things, to set the record straight. And Amber's reaction is also very interesting.
Oh, yes, CK. I was tweeting about that, and thank all of you on Twitter who were responding because you noticed it too. All of her reactions, the body language, the facial expressions today. This is the most reactive I think we've seen Amber Heard this whole trial. And I really like how you put it, CK. It's kind of like Johnny Depp is batting cleanup, if you use the ball game analogy. And they have the time. They have more hours left for him to be up there. So they're probably thinking, why not? The Heard team doesn't have nearly as much time, even though there's going to be a lot of material for Cross. We are going to squeeze in a break. You're not going to miss a moment of the testimony in Virginia. Thank you for being with us here on Court TV Live. Thanks for staying with us here on Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Johnny Depp is back on the stand on rebuttal in his case, and he was starting to talk about the point in their rocky romance when they decided to divorce and how he felt when he heard that Amber Heard wanted to divorce. Let's go back in at that moment where we left off when the attorneys went up to sidebar. Benjamin Rottenborg made an objection, and Johnny Depp made a little joke.
Mr. Depp, what has it been like for you to listen to Ms. Heard's testimony at this trial?
I'm sorry?
What has it been like for you to listen to Ms. Heard's testimony at this trial?
Objection relevance, Your Honor.
Oh, overruled.
Insane. It's insane to hear heinous accusations of violence, sexual violence, that she's attributed to me, that she's accused me of. I don't think anyone enjoys having to split themselves open and tell the truth. But there are times when one just simply has to, because it's gotten out of control. Horrible. Ridiculous, humiliating, ludicrous, painful, savage, unimaginably brutal, cruel, and all false. All false. I wanted no human being is perfect, certainly not. None of us. But I have never in my life committed sexual battery, physical abuse, all these outlandish, outrageous stories of me committing these things and living with it for 6 years and waiting to be able to bring the truth out. So this is not easy for any of us. I know that. But no matter what happens, I did get here, and I did tell the truth, and I have spoken up for what I've been carrying on my back reluctantly for 6 years.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right. Did you want to take lunch at this point? Or just, okay, all right, let's do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take lunch at this time. Do not discuss this case with anybody and don't do any outside research, okay? Thank you.